Hold Tight, an original film by Chris Cerney. Table of Contents. Prologue. 4 narcissists. Jack the Knife. Tension point. Black night. The pavement is wet. The air is wet. The lights in the neighborhood are dim. If you could see, you'd see this place for what it really is. It's a gritty, cold, wet wasteland. And if you have a question, don't ask. The bland people that inhabit the wasteland have nothing of value to offer you. They can only judge you. Their eyes are irritated by differences, yet they rejoice when it's socially beneficial to do so. "Oh," they squeal, "how wonderful it is to be different." Fade in. Exterior neighborhood street, light rain, night. We turn our heads towards a white, 2-story house in a happy suburb. Camera long pans to a house. The Bobby Fuller 4's Let Her Dance is emanating from the house. Camera stops when house is in center. Stay on house. A car's headlights are reflecting off of the wet pavement. The sound of car tires contacting the ground is audible. The music gets louder. The car drives onto a quarter of the screen before coming to a stop. Headlights turn off. No interior lights in the car turn on. Interior house party continuous. Standing in the kitchen is Jason. Jason stands 6 feet tall and has medium-length blonde hair. He's watching Ruby dance in the living room like she's from the 1940s. Ruby is 5 feet tall and has black hair. The camera zooms into Jason, then Ruby. She sees that Jason is watching her, which makes her laugh. He blushes and laughs back at her. A young man approaches her slowly. He is mimicking her flirty dance. Ruby is at first hesitant, but she is won over by his dancing. Ruby grabs onto him and dances with him. Jason's expression slightly shifts. Ruby spins around with the other man, and Jason keeps his gaze fixed on her. Ruby dances with the man while we watch her. Jason's expression is tense, as can be seen. He's getting progressively furious. An SUV is parked at a gas station. Jason gets out of the SUV. He walks over to the pump and looks it over with confidence. He's staring at the pump like he's hypnotized. When a familiar car pulls up next to him, he looks away from the pump. He locks his gaze onto the car's glistening pearlescent paint job. Close-up of pearlescent car paint job shining in the sun. The camera drifts across the exterior of the car. A deep, eerie synth sound plays, then stops. Jason looks away from the silver vehicle and toward his SUV. He approaches the back left window and knocks. Interior SUV, continuous. Ruby, Eric, and Johnson are inside the SUV. Ruby is in the back seat with Johnson, and Eric is in the front. Eric is a small, young adult with short hair, wears thin black glasses, and is mixed race. He considers himself somewhat intelligent. He's a nice boy, though sometimes he's a bit of an airhead. Johnson plays basketball. He's also short, with ghostly white skin and pale blue eyes. For basketball, he keeps his hair neatly shaved. His ghostly appearance makes him intimidating, even frightening if you look at his tiny body too closely. But once you get to know him, he's not that dangerous. He's actually harmless, but he's as cunning as a weasel. Eric and Johnson make an excellent pair of weasels. The weasels are constantly talking about something. Johnson will occasionally give Eric a basketball lesson, after which Eric will tell Johnson about a random, somewhat interesting fun fact. They don't have deep conversations often, but their companionship isn't intellectual. They enjoy being in each other's company. They were raised well enough to understand the value of friendship. This is quite different from how Jason and Ruby operate. "Eric, put the keys into the thing. Jason is at the window," she says to Eric in an urgent manner. "Where are they?" "They're up there somewhere," she yells. "No, they're not." Ruby's voice grumbles and trembles like a small volcano about to erupt. She takes a deep breath. "Idiot!" she squeals. Exterior SUV, continuous. Jason squints his eyes as he peers through the tinted car windows. He hears banging and knocking from inside the car, followed by a loud, muffled grunt from Ruby. Interior SUV, continuous. Eric finds the keys and jams them into the ignition. "Ah!" Ruby yells. The windows make a thumping sound before screeching down. Eric, Ruby, and Johnson sit in awkward silence as all of the windows reluctantly roll down, as if the windows, too, are embarrassed by Ruby's flagrant behavior. As her window rolls down, it makes a faint, high-pitched noise, making the situation even more embarrassing for Ruby. All four windows finish rolling down. Ruby looks at Jason and smiles. She's trying her best to ignore the awkward situation. "Oh, honey, baby, what is it?" she whispers softly. "Ruby, baby, it's just that." Jason is hesitant because he is embarrassed. "Yes, dear?" "I'm really tired. It's been a long day of driving, you know. Can you put the gas in, babe?" While Jason is tired from a long day of driving, that isn't the main problem. In reality, he doesn't know how to put gas in his own car. No one ever taught him how. "Oh, honey." Jason sighs. Ruby gives Jason a pitiful smile before turning to face Eric in the front passenger seat. "Eric, get out and help Jason," she demands. "What's wrong with him? Why can't he put gas in the car?" "Shh! Go!" Exterior SUV, continuous. Eric exits the car and walks over to the gas pump. Jason looks at Eric and smiles as he calmly pats him on the back. Eric looks up at Jason, perplexed. Cut 2. Exterior SUV on highway. Moving. Day. Sunlight pierces through the windows of the SUV onto the faces of the 4 young adults. They are enjoying their first road trip together. Although the sky is clear, clouds are gathering in the east. A storm is expected later in the day, but the 4 don't know. Interior SUV, moving, continuous. Jason and Ruby are the only ones with licenses. Ruby dislikes driving, though, so she makes Jason do it. Jason is accustomed to it. In her freshman year of high school, Ruby was dubbed the diva by her friends. Acting out is now normal and even expected of her. Jason scans the road in front of them. After staring for too long on the desert highway, your eyes tend to waver. When you look out the side window, the color of the landscape shifts from gray road to beige-ish brown, then back to gray. Mountainous greens can be seen in the distance. When driving fast enough, the faded yellow lines of the highway flash, eventually merging into a single line. For Jason, it's different out here than it is in the city. He feels a sense of dread here. The reality of independence isn't as pleasant as he expected. They are alone in the vast open fields, far from their parents' comfort. Sandy Nelson's Birth of the Beat plays. Camera pans to mountainous forest in the distance. Ominous clouds are gathering. Shot of colorful bird in wet Vietnam-looking jungle. We zoom in on Jason as he drives the SUV forward. Jason reaches over to the car stereo and skips to the next song. Click, click echoes. Camera breaks away from Jason. Camera slowly pans to the side mirror. Sandy Nelson's Let There Be Drums plays. Mechanical sound. Camera stops, locks on the side mirror. Camera zooms into the mirror. Car appears in horizon. Camera locked in position. Tension point. POV from the driver's side door of the approaching car. Long pause as the car gets closer. Thunderously loud silver car drives by at 120 miles per hour. The camera whip pans with the car locked in the center. Trained to Nowhere by the Champs plays. Hold. Hold tight. Interior SUV, moving. Jason is stunned. He looks ahead at the car as it disappears into the horizon. The others in the SUV were unaware of the silver car speeding past them. They were too preoccupied with a mind-numbing conversation. Ruby grabs Jason's shoulder. Babe. Ah! Jason slightly yells. What's wrong? Nothing. I mean, didn't you all just see that car drive by? Jason is somewhat baffled by the speeding car. He has never seen a car drive that fast, set for on TV. Oh, hon, are you sure you're okay? She asks him with a condescending tone. Jason eases back into his seat. Why do you talk to me like, I'll catch ya, bitches. Where will we be eating tonight, eh? She cuts Jason off with an attempt at a British accent, causing Eric and Johnson to cackle in the back of the SUV. I'm feeling a little peckish, you little lot, you. Eric and Johnson continue cackling. Jason is irritated as he looks back at the highway. Pause. Do you guys want to stop and get some food? Ruby looks at Jason, astonished and confused. Ruby, Eric, and Johnson laugh loudly at Jason for failing to notice that Ruby had already asked what they wanted to eat in her bad British accent. It's probably because your accent is so bad, I can't even understand what you're saying, he says, in an irritable tone. Everyone goes quiet as Ruby sighs. Oh, honey, I love you, she says in a condescending tone. Cut 2, highway rest stop, evening. Eric, Johnson, and Ruby get out of the SUV and walk to the bathrooms. Ruby looks back at Jason while he stands in the front of the SUV with his arms crossed. She smiles, and he smiles back. In the wind, her hair brushes up against her face. Cut 2. Interior Smokey Joe's Hotel and Cafe. Night. Camera rises from beneath the table. Jason, Ruby, Eric, and Johnson are sitting with their elbows on the table, waiting to order. The camera pans toward the window. Rain is careening against the restaurant windows. Jason looks out of the window. A disheveled homeless man walks by urgently. A waitress approaches the table, interrupting Jason's gaze with the window. The waitress has blonde hair, wears big black circular glasses, and is about 5 inches taller than Ruby. The waitress smiles at everyone, especially at Jason. You all ready to order? The waitress looks back at Jason. Jason smiles and looks down at the menu. Ruby sneers at the waitress. What was that? Ruby interrogates. Excuse me? Never mind. Can I have a coffee? Ruby decides to ignore that the waitress was hitting on Jason. Yeah, the waitress says in a high-pitched tone. The waitress looks at Ruby's hands on the table. Oh, I love your bracelet, by the way. OMG, you are so cute. I love your hair. The waitress gawks at Ruby. Ruby pauses and makes an almost imperceptible face of disgust, but she quickly changes her tone to sound more positive and empathetic to the waitress's compliments. Oh my god. Thank you so much, girl. Ruby is suddenly very happy. Jason looks at Ruby in confusion. Okay, can I get a coffee? Yes, sir. Would you want anything extra in your coffee? The waitress takes a moment longer to write in her notepad. Yeah. Could I get some extra cream? And you can make it extra sweet. Okay. Yeah, I would love to help you out with that. The waitress is flirtatious. Ruby locks her eyes on her. Okay, Ruby bursts out. What the fuck is wrong with you? She shrieks so loudly you can hear her across the entire restaurant. We look around and see everyone staring at Ruby. The waitress is visibly baffled. What? I'm not... Ruby cuts her off. Nah, Ruby bellows. Ma'am, I promise We ain't playing that today. Ruby shoots up from her chair with her waist pressed up against the table. She goes ghetto on the waitress with exaggerated hand gestures. Nah, honey, nah. What do you think is happening here? Get your blonde ass, bitch ass. Oh, how are you doing today ass back to the kitchen, bitch? She yells mockingly. Never talk to my man like that, she huffs and puffs. And take off those stupid fucking ass glasses, you dumb bitch. You ain't cute with that shit. The waitress looks around at everyone like she's seen a ghost. Then she starts crying dramatically and runs to the kitchen. We can see her through the kitchen window, and she is crying with her head down in her hands. A chef walks up to the side of her to comfort her, but she pushes him away. No, Eduardo! Get away from me! She screams, then storms off to the back office. Everyone at the table looks at her like they also just saw a ghost, too. Ruby settles back into her seat and sighs. Jesus Christ, Ruby, Jason says, while exhaling after holding his breath for a long time. I'm going to, find the, bathroom. The gang stays quiet as Jason gets up. Ruby looks at Eric and Johnson, then looks down as if she's ashamed. She gets up and leaves the table. As Ruby is walking around the hotel and restaurant, she sees a man playing a guitar in the lobby. Ruby stands against the doorway with her arms crossed and watches the musician play. The musician starts singing with a high-pitched, shrieking-like voice. Ruby relaxes and smiles, as if she is being serenaded by the musician's shrieking. The musician smiles while he is singing, and they lock eyes briefly. Then he looks back at the small audience in the hotel. The musician finishes his song, and a few people clap quietly. Ruby walks up to the musician after the show to speak to him. Where did you learn to play like that? She asks. You know. He pauses to think. I'm self-taught, he says softly. What? That's... The musician cuts her off. Yeah. Yes. I'm a passionate guy. The main thing about my music is that I think it moves people. He pauses to think. It moves them. If I may be a little cocky, he says as he speaks about himself. I think I make the most heartfelt music since like the 90s, he says with a sigh. Ruby is intrigued. Wow, that's interesting. Who is your inspiration? Harry Styles. Ruby watches the musician's lips move as he continues to speak. Things begin to blur, and his voice becomes muffled. She loses interest in him as he mumbles. Hey, do you want to come over tonight? We're having a little party at my place. Ruby comes back to her senses. Oh yeah. I'm actually on a road trip with some friends. I'll let you know if we stay around here for the night. Sounds great. You know, you can stay the night if you're interested. The musician hands her his card. He has a wink handwritten onto it. It looks as if he handwrites a wink onto every business card he gives to women he's attracted to. Okay, I'll see what the guys think. Nice meeting you, she says in a friendly tone. Ruby walks away. She walks through a long corridor. Shots of her shoes on the red hotel lobby carpet as she walks back to the table with the guys. She sits at the table, but Jason is missing. Where's Jason? I think he went to the bathroom, but I'm not sure. Eric and Johnson are still talking to each other about something, but we don't know what it is. Jack used to be a successful businessman in New York. He had a high-level position at a large company from the 1980s up until the 1990s. Business Motivational Incorporated, or BM, began as a motivational company in 1975, solely for the purpose of assisting bosses in improving their management skills. By the late 80s, the company had risen in value and influence, becoming known as the most successful company that actually used theories from psychology for its business strategies. Not only did it prove the usefulness of many scientific theories, but BM also provided high-paying jobs to well-known psychologists. The more BM collaborated with accredited psychologists, the more influence it gave them in academia. By 1995, the company had influence over new theories, studies, experiments. BM even started a school. Graced by renowned psychologists that worked at the company, BM had its hands in almost every aspect of finance, Wall Street, psychology, and now the education system. It seemed like BM's gain in power and influence could never stop. It was well known for saving failing businesses by helping them reevaluate their goals. With a clever technique, the failing company would have to attach BM to its brand, making it a BMA-affiliated company. It was common for BM to make businesses successful again, sometimes far more successful and profitable than before BM's help. When Jack arrived at the company, he was 22 years old. After 23 years at BM, Jack had risen to positions of greater power, making him the company's second most powerful man. His quick wit and shark-like personality made him highly desirable in the business world. Every company on Wall Street wanted a crack at getting Jack on board. His popularity was so far-reaching in New York that Wall Street gave him the nickname Jack the Knife. He was often referenced as being the quickest and sharpest businessman on Wall Street. At the press of a button, Jack could open his mouth like a spring-loaded switchblade, ready to lacerate his victims. He was harsh when he needed to be, yet charismatic. He was attractive and humble around women. He was liked by bosses, CEOs, and almost everyone in high management. Jack made companies more money. Jack made more money. By 48, Jack had a nice house in the countryside. He had to-do lists. He had money and time off. One morning in 1995, Jack was spending a day off relaxing at home. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a baggie. The baggie was filled with cocaine. Jack was abusing hard drugs. He began spending all of his lifetime earnings to pay for his new hobby. In 1995, he was a powerful businessman. By 2020, he was a deranged street rat. Jack the Rat would be more apt, given his unrecognizable appearance. Cut 2. Interior, exterior. Jack's car, driving. Night. Short shots of car weaving through nighttime traffic to the beat of Two of Hearts by Stacy Q. Jack parks his beat-up silver muscle car in a large parking lot. He confronts his imaginary passenger. "What the hell was that, man?" Jack looks around, then back at his empty passenger seat. "That's what you'd like to know. Why don't you wait and see? Exactly who do you think I am? I know something you don't. Bitch, you little fat bitch." By now, it's clear that Jack the Knife has turned into a husky, dirty, deranged, but somehow stylish hobo. Jack lives in his car, eats and drinks in it, sleeps in it, and lurks in it. This is his 15th year on the streets. Cut 2. Exterior grocery store. Night. Jack drives into an empty grocery store parking lot, gets out of his car, and walks into the grocery store. He is arguing with his imaginary friend while he walks, but he makes sure to pretend he isn't talking to anyone. Someone sees him, and he smiles and waves at the passerby. They look at him with a disgusted face. He yells back at them and vibrates his whole body until they walk away quickly. He stands there looking confused at their fear, then laughs and comments on them to his friend. "They probably think I'm weird, huh?" He continues walking and goes into the grocery store. He sees a giant mountain of Coca-Cola boxes stacked together, and he stops and stares at it. The Coca-Cola boxes slowly fade into a skyscraper. He looks in awe as he hallucinates. He misses his good old days. He misses the power and control. He continues walking towards the freezer aisle. He grabs 8 bottles of whipped cream and walks to the cash register. He gets in line behind a woman who is paying and waits his turn. The woman pays and leaves the register. Jack steps forward. The cashier sees that Jack has a handful of whipped cream bottles, and he looks concerned. Sir, I don't..." The cashier is confused and worried. "Yeah, I saw it too." Jack smiles widely, displaying his dirty teeth. "I told a while back to my guy." Jack speaks incoherently. "Oh, that's interesting," the cashier says in confusion. Pause. Jack stares at the counter. The cashier is watching him and becoming somewhat frightened. Long pause. Anyways... The cashier scans the whipped cream and reads him his total. It's going to be $5 even. Without hesitation, Jack reaches into his pocket, pulls out a ball of lint and hair, and sets it on the counter. He continues staring at the empty counter. The cashier is confused, but he would rather accept the ball of lint to get out of his predicament. Thank you. Have a nice day. Well, prices are good nowadays. Jack grabs all of his whipped cream containers and exits the grocery store quickly while smiling. He walks through the parking lot excitedly and gets into his sports car quickly. Interior, Jack's car, night, light rain. Dow, 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 Jack exclaims with excitement. Jack grabs a container of whipped cream from his passenger seat and opens it. Dow, 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 he says again in the same tone as the first time. Jack smacks the whipped cream lid onto his steering wheel and breaks the cap. Crack! Sound. Then he quickly inhales the nitrous oxide from the whipped cream container. Ooh, this is... He rattles his teeth together. Feeling all right. Dow, 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 he repeats, this time with more furiosity. Jack inhales from the whipped cream once again, but this time with much more intensity. Dow, 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 dow. Jack jams the key into the ignition. Jack's car burns out and speeds on. Back at the restaurant, Jason, Ruby, Eric, and Johnson are preparing to leave. They all get up and start walking to the door. Suddenly, someone grabs Jason's shoulder. He quickly turns around. A man is holding a phone out to Jason. Jason is confused because he already has his phone. He grabs it anyway and thanks the server. Jason looks at the phone and realizes that it's Ruby's. By this time, the other three have already made it into the car, and Jason is standing there, holding the phone. He walks to the bathroom again with the intention of stalling so that he can snoop. Interior, hotel bathroom. He walks into the bathroom, and while he's inside, he hears a weird sound, and is slightly confused for an almost imperceptible moment. Jason stands in front of the mirror. A man's feet with his pants down can be seen in the back stall. Jason is still, staring at the bright screen in the grimy, dimly lit bathroom. He opens her Photos app and scrolls for a while. He goes to the bottom and finds the recently deleted folder, but the folder is empty. Pause. Jason thinks for a second, then flips the phone around to see the back where Ruby puts miscellaneous cards and notes. He pulls out the cards and looks through them. He pulls out a suspicious note that reads, "I hope you had fun tonight. I'm at 275 Adonda Road. Love, Bobby." Jason looks confused, angry, and shocked. The camera pans slowly until we see someone behind Jason. Jack is standing behind him, hunched over. Ah! Oh, Jesus! He makes a high-pitched, screeching sound. Jason slips a bit on the wet tile floor and backs away from Jack. "Shit. Sorry. You scared me, buddy." Jason breathes a sigh of relief. Jack looks back at him with a blank stare. Jack straightens his back, and we hear it crack. He burps and makes a gurgling sound while looking at Jason.
"You know, I was once like you,"
Jack says, with air in his voice. He clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Jack has no dignity left. "Really?" Jason asks earnestly.
"No."
Jack laughs in a crackly, mucusy voice. He coughs up. Long pause. Jason is visibly disgusted.
"You know, do you want to know a secret?"
Jack mumbles, then clicks his teeth together and rubs his face with his dirty hands. "Oh, okay, what is it?" Jason asks hesitantly.
"You, they, the..."
Jack stumbles over his words and looks around at the empty bathroom. Jack takes a deep breath, waddles closer to Jason, and closes his eyes. He leans in to tell him the secret.
"To the rescue. Here I am,"
he whispers.
"Tell myself a new day is rising."
Jason is confused. He continues whispering melodically. Pause. He clicks his teeth.
"When the morning gathers, the rainbow, want you to know I'm a rainbow too."
Pause. Jack quickly cuts to his speech, knowing that Jason is confused.
Your friends are little shit stains, my man. But it's okay, 'cause your parents did it to you, son."
We haven't seen Jason's reaction in a moment. We stay focused on Jack as he speaks.
"You don't deserve it to live anymore, kid. I don't like the smell of you, buddy,"
he says in a murky tone.
"This is much more than you can handle, son. You're ruining the world."
By now, we couldn't see, but Jason had left the bathroom, and Jack was now speaking to himself in the mirror. He's in a state of dissociation. The speech seemingly became about Jack himself. Vogue by Madonna starts as we stare at Jack's face.
"What are you looking at?"
Jack opens the bathroom door and peers his head out of the doorway slowly. He looks toward Jason's back as he exits the restaurant and gets into his SUV. Jack looks at him with a sinister expression. The SUV drives away as Jack watches.
Strike the pose. Strike the pose. Look around, everywhere you turn is heartache. It's everywhere that you go. You try everything you can to escape the pain of life that you know. All else fails and you long to be something better than you are today.
Cut 2.
Where you can get
Interior/exterior. Jack's car driving. Night. Medium rain. Jack is smacking his steering wheel and laughing. His realization that he doesn't have much longer to live fills him with joy. Cut 2. Jason hands Ruby her phone. Oh, babe. Where was it? You left it in the lobby. Oh, hun. Thank you, she says softly as she flips the phone around. Then she looks back up at Jason and smiles. Fade to black. Exterior, neighborhood street, night. Camera long pans to a house. We barely hear Phyllis Dillon's Don't Stay Away emanating from the house.
If you knew how much I love you.
A car's headlights are reflecting off of the wet pavement. The sound of car tires contacting the ground is audible. Jason's SUV drives onto a quarter of the screen before coming to a stop. SUV headlights turn off. The interior lights in the car turn on, and Jason, Ruby, Eric, and Johnson are talking in their seats. Whose house is this? Jason asks. Just some musician from the hotel earlier. His name's Bobby. He said we could stay at his place for free. Who the fuck is Bobby? I have no idea. He's just some guy I met earlier that offered us a place to stay. The gang silently protests. Come on, guys. He's nice, I promise. We're lucky we don't have to pay to stay at a hotel, she says, enthusiastically. The gang agrees, and they all get out of the car to go into the house. As Eric and Johnson walk ahead to the house, Jason and Ruby walk behind them. Cut 2. Interior house party. Night. Jason is standing in the kitchen. The camera zooms into Jason as he watches Ruby dance. She sees that Jason is watching her, which makes her laugh. He blushes and laughs back at her. Bobby approaches her slowly. He is mimicking her flirty dance. Ruby is at first hesitant, but she is won over by his dancing. Ruby grabs onto him and dances with him. Jason's expression slightly shifts. Ruby spins around with the other man, and Jason keeps his gaze fixed on her. Ruby dances with the musician while we watch her. Jason's expression is tense, as can be seen. He's getting progressively furious. Camera locked on Jason. Let Her Dance ends. Long pause as we stare at Jason while he watches Ruby. No music. Knife flies by Jason's head and pierces the wall beside him. Thump!
I keep forgetting you don't love me no more. I keep forgetting you don't.
Close-up of knife. Jason's eyes unblur behind the knife.
You didn't want me around.
I'm a home, baby!
Crash zoom to Jack as he shouts. Crash zoom to Ruby as she screams. Jason looks to Ruby. Crash zoom to Ruby as she runs and trips over a chair. Jason looks to everyone as they scramble for the door. Overview of high schoolers as they all run out of the house like a school of fish.
You don't love me no more. I keep forgetting you don't want me no more. I keep forgetting about those heartbreaking nights and those.
Jason grabs the switchblade in the wall to pull it out, and instead he slices his hand.
Though I know in
He
my
screams
heart
from the pain.
we're drifting
His blood
apart.
sprays against the
Still I
wall.
can't believe I love.
Jason is holding his bloody hands in pain, moaning for help. Jason looks to the door and yells.
Just can't get it through.
Eric is sitting in a recliner chair next to the door. He is quietly hoping that Jack won't notice him.
I keep forgetting.
On his way out of the house, Jack looks over at Eric in the recliner. Jack lunges up to him and stabs him in the chest. Eric screams. Jack runs out of the house and hides to the left of the door. Exterior house. Front door, night. One by one, young adults are exiting the house at a high rate of speed, screaming and yelling for help. What they don't notice is that Jack is letting each one of them leave the premises. Each time one of them exits the door, Jack gives them a polite hand gesture. "After you," he says politely, as 15 to 20 screaming children flee the house. Interior house, living room, continuous. Jason is about to exit the house through the front door, where Jack is standing off to the side. Jason peeks his head out of the front door. Jack heaves a giant tree trunk at Jason's head, knocking him out. Jason goes unconscious. Cut 2. Interior/exterior. Jack's car, night, heavy rain. Some time has passed, and Jason begins to wake up and realize where he is. They are in Jack's beat-up muscle car, in the middle of nowhere. As Jason wakes, he notices Jack is fussing with his old car's cassette player and trying to play a specific song. He is having difficulty figuring it out. "What are you doing?" Jack mumbles gibberish.
Somda.
Jason can't see anything outside. He can only hear the stormy weather getting louder and louder the longer they are there. Exterior, Jack's car in the desert, night. Heavy thunder rolls through as we watch Jack's car headlights turn on and his engine roars. Long pause as we watch the car from a distance. Interior, Jack's car, continuous. With a nervous tone, he asks, Where are we going? Jack breaks his silence and screams at Jason. He puts the car into first gear. Jack revs beyond the red line of the car, slides his tires against the wet, dirty road. They drift into position onto the beginning of a long straightaway. Exterior, Jack's car on the straightaway. Heavy rain, continuous. Lightning strikes as soon as Jack puts his car into third gear. Jack replies to Jason.
Shut up, you bitch! You dumb bitch.
He screeches as they speed ahead.
Listen. Listen. You have never heard good music. Listen to the song. Listen to the song.
Jack forgets to play the song.
Well, son, this is my point. I am a confused man. So are you, son. I can tell. You ain't know where you're going.
The speedometer reads 60 miles per hour. Oh God, please don't kill me. Please. Jason is terrified. Jack smiles and chuckles at Jason.
I have some advice for you, Sonny.
Jack plays the music. As they approach 90 miles per hour, Jason is feeling fearful. Jack stares ahead at the dark road. The muscle car is tearing down the dark, empty highway as if it were a spaceship burying itself through the Earth's atmosphere. Jack looks forward at the wet road as if he's reminiscing. Camera symmetrical on both of them as they drive. Faraway view of car driving into the darkness. Only lights on the car are seen. Jack clears his throat, then leans over to Jason with his hands still gripping the steering wheel.
Don't get into a car unless you know where it's going.
View of road from passenger seat. 100 miles per hour. Heavy metal clinking. The car is shaking violently. Jack leans over again to say something else. All sound is muffled.
Hold tight.
Here I await for your footsteps now. You have taken all my loving that I wished you to have. I would take yours, but I don't know how. If there's a chance for what you hope for and you dream for and you plan for, how can you stand for the heart sore at hand? But the wind sound is a crying, and the moonlight is a dying. So I wait for your footsteps now. If there's a chance for what you hope for and you dream for and you plan for, how can you stand for the heart sore at hand? But now you are here, and before you go, tell me where did you sleep last night? Black night.
One kiss, one little sigh, that's all you gave me when you said goodbye. But someday, baby, someday, darling, you're gonna miss me. Long gone is your caress, and with it all of my happiness. But someday live.